A very good afternoon, and we would like to recognize the presence of all the dignitaries. Good afternoon. I believe that today is a day to mark a special day, the beginning of a massive, beautiful success story. To officially welcome you, we would like to invite Director General, National Archives of Sri Lanka, Dr. Nadeera Rupesinghe.
Good afternoon, venerable sirs and ladies and gentlemen. I'm honored to welcome you today to witness this occasion of the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding between the Sri Lanka National Archives and the National Archives of the Netherlands. We saw this morning, some of us already saw this morning, the opening of the exhibition of the return of the 6 artifacts that were stolen from the Palace of Kandy in 1765. They have been returned to Sri Lanka by the Netherlands. So these 6 objects are weapons, and the power of the gun was all prevailing at that time. They represent power and struggle, and they tell the story of an era where there were very complicated relationships. But those relationships have now changed drastically. As Dr. van den Belt pointed out to me, they have changed from the violence that the weapons signify to that of cooperation. Dr. Albert, who is here today, is with us again to complete a Colombo reconstruction project that began in 2013. Because actually for the National Archives, this cooperation is not new. It's not happening for the first time. From 2001 to 2013, there were 4 agreements with the Netherlands, under which 2/3 of our Dutch archives were microfilmed, and 1 copy was sent to the Netherlands and another was retained in Sri Lanka. And Dr. Albert's reconstruction project of the Colombos was a sub-project of that. But this cooperation actually goes back to British times, when the Dutch archives sent trained archivist M.W. Urianse to Sri Lanka in 1937 to work on the first Dutch inventory, the inventory of the Dutch archives here. And she came on the request of the British government. And today we are marking another historical event as we gather to sign, I think what I believe is the 5th Memorandum of Understanding concerning archives cooperation with the National Archives of the Netherlands. So this achievement is a result of a journey that actually spans over a decade. The majority of the staff at the National Archives here played a significant role in ensuring this success, in ensuring the collective efforts would be delivered through this Memorandum of Understanding. To them, I express my gratitude. I also extend my gratitude to Professor Rohan Samarajiva and Archivist Mr. Nigel Nugavella, members of the National Archives Advisory Council. They were nominated to represent the Council with me at a consultation that we had with the Attorney General. I also want to acknowledge the pivotal role played by the Attorney General. His initial concerns were addressed through dialogue. Our Honorable Minister, Vidura Wickramanayake, has been a steadfast supporter of this initiative. Your commitment was instrumental in obtaining the necessary approvals. We are honored to have you with us today, and thank you for your vision to foster international collaboration in the field of archives. I extend my sincere thanks to all those who have played a role in bringing us to this point. Among them, I must thank the Secretary of the Ministry of Buddhasasana, Religious and Cultural Affairs, Somaratna Vidana Patirana, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and the Dutch Embassy of Sri Lanka. Thank you for your presence here, Your Excellencies Bonnie Hobach and Aruni Nanaraja. Last but not least, let me thank the Director General of the National Archives in the Netherlands. She's also the National Archivist of the Netherlands, Madam Afelona Duk. She has sent us Mr. Arjan Agema, head of the Digitization unit of the Dutch Archives, to sign the MoU on her behalf. I must also thank Johan van Langen and Lidwin Janssen of the Dutch Archives, who have been patiently supporting us throughout the many years, despite the delays. And Arjan, of course, I'm looking forward to the positive impact that this collaboration will have for both archival institutions and the cultural heritage that we collectively safeguard. And more concretely, ik hou van kaas, maar niet van stroopwafels. En ik bewonder de Nederlandse nadruk op afspraken maken. I was just saying that I love cheese, but not the very sweet honey-filled biscuits that they call stroopwafels in the Netherlands. And I admire the Dutch emphasis on making appointments and being on time. These are a small part of the cultural secrets, culturele geheimen, that you absorb over time. So I look forward to the exchanges that help us better understand each other in terms of how our different cultures give meaning to archives, records, and life in general. And in my ideal world of accessible archives, through this MoU, we are taking baby steps in an archival world that has gone streaks ahead in terms of its use of artificial intelligence. Today, you can train the computer to ask questions, historical questions, of millions of pages of archival scans within seconds. So even scans from 250 to 300 years ago. So archives from 250 to 300 years ago. For that, the first step is digitization. The digitization of the archives is essential. Then, with the integration of handwriting text recognition, natural language processing techniques to interpret and query the data, those techniques can then be applied. And through this project, we will be taking steps in that direction. And before we know it, hours and hours of sitting in reading rooms, doing history the conventional way will be undone. Spannend, exciting. Thank you.
It's now time for the most awaited moment of today's agenda, which is the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding between the National Archives of Sri Lanka and the National Archives of the Netherlands. To do the honors, we would like to invite Director General, National Archives of Sri Lanka, Dr. Nadeera Rupesinghe, and Head of Digitization Department, National Archives of the Netherlands, Ms. Agema. And as witnesses, we would like to invite the Minister of Buddhasasana, Religious and Cultural Affairs.
Nadeera Rupesinghe is handing over to the ceremony. Thank you very much.
His Excellency, Cultural Secretary, Her Excellency, Ambassador to Netherlands in Sri Lanka, and Her Excellency, Ambassador of Sri Lanka to Netherlands, Additional Secretary of our Ministry, the Dutch delegation, Director General of Department of Archives, My dear friends, the importance of archives is not as significant as archaeology in Sri Lanka, not so far. That importance has not been rendered or accorded to archives. For the year and 2 months, being the minister of this ministry, that is my perception. But unless we strengthen the archives, we will not be able to one day recollect what has happened in the past. The Sri Lanka is a prominent country in the world map of history because it is one of the countries, very few countries, which has written history of 2,500 years. Likewise, most of the old documents that has been a part of this department has been there for, not as the department, but almost 1.5 centuries, 130 years. Is it? Or 21? She sent me a note day before yesterday, giving me the points to speak. I always do ask ladies, but on professional level. So when I went through that, as Dr. Rupesinghe mentioned earlier, there has been Dutch help which has come to Sri Lanka even during the British colonial period. So it shows that one thing, the importance of the documents and also the contribution of Dutch people. And I'm very thankful to all of you, especially the live wire, the ambassador, Her Excellency the ambassador. She has been doing so much of service, not only to Sri Lanka, but also to Netherlands. Bringing these two countries, two cultures together. To me, in 1960s, Mr. Nihal Seneviratne is also here. In 1960s, correct me if I'm wrong, it was political diplomacy up to 70, 80. And in 80s, it was financial diplomacy. Now, it is the era of cultural diplomacy. Whether we like it or not, this is the theme that we have to carry forward, cultural diplomacy, which encompasses all politics, economics, social and environmental, all that. That is within this word culture. Archives is also part of that. But we have to link with the new technology. Unless we link with the new technology, we may lag behind. So it is one of the great achievements on our side and initiatives on the side of Netherlands that we are moving towards digitization. And I heard that there are some machines to come. Hopefully, very soon it might arrive. When? Coming soon. And they say, not only that, we have the Netherlands has been a helping hand, though they didn't crow about it. They didn't make any noise about it. They help. Just like when they were colonials, we are colonial masters. Even now, the Netherlands has been helping in a lot of various projects. Not only in restitution, in related fields, not only in archaeology, but restoration of forts, Gaul fort, for an example. So these has been ongoing. So I'm very thankful on behalf of the President, Mr. Wickramanayake, and the government, and also the people of Sri Lanka. I'm very thankful to you all for the initiatives that you all have taken and for the programs that you all have implemented with the Archives Department. And I usually don't praise people, especially ladies. But we have an able and capable leading Archives Department. That is Dr. Nadeera, Rupesinghe. I wanted to say this some time back, but I reserved it. Anyway, so because what I feel is we have to link the past, present, and future. Some of us live in the past. Some of us think that present is the given moment. Yes, it is the given moment. But we should be able to link with the future. So she is a person who is able and capable of linking past, present, and future. And once again, my appreciations and admirations to the Netherlands for helping us with these projects, and also for us to dream about or act on future based on past and standing on present. So thank you very much for all of you all who made this a possibility. The people who are working, or the colleagues of Dr. Nadeera, everybody of this department. I take this opportunity to thank you for the services you all have rendered without recognition. But starting next year, we will turn the tables and you all be recognized and you all be a part of the development process of Sri Lanka. That I will ensure. So Archives Department will stand tall among the other departments and other institutes. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister Vidura Wickramanayake. We're now ready to invite another wonderful personality. To address the gathering, we would like to invite the Cultural Ambassador for International Cultural Cooperation of the Netherlands, Ms. Dewi van der Weerd.
Good afternoon again, dear Minister, dear ambassadors, dear friends. And it is so fascinating that we are again in a festive celebration of a cooperation between our two countries. And I'm really glad that we have been able to see the realization of this memorandum of understanding between the two national archives of our countries, considering the long duration also that it was under discussion. And I think it is really interesting to see how much cooperation we have already had in the past with regard to exchanging our knowledge on archives. But also very recently, I think as recent as 10 days ago, a delegation from Sri Lanka visited the Netherlands because they were going to look at the packing of these colonial objects. And there was a discussion about how do you preserve the palm leaves? And the Netherlands does that in a way that the leaves are being kept dry. And then the Sri Lankan delegation said, well, we really think that it is also a good idea to use oil and to use black oil to keep these palm leaves in a good condition. And I personally think that is such an interesting example of how we can learn from each other and how we can also bring our own knowledge from the different circumstances in our countries together and in that way achieve more. And I think this is exactly also what you intend to do at the archives, dear DG Nadeera and dear Arjan Agema. You will pave the way for greater accessibility of the archival records, and you will preserve originals as digitized copies that can be available for regular usage. And we were talking about this yesterday night, and I was quite impressed, Arjan, that you told me that it had such a large effect also in the Netherlands when we had digitized quite a number of personal archives. And you told me that the website of the National Archives crashed because there were so many people that were actually accessing it, and it was now not necessary anymore to come to the reading room of the archives. People could just do it online from behind their desk. And I think that is really significant because it shows that there is really a need for access to these kinds of documents, and it is really also very valuable for people. So I think I would like to congratulate all of you again with this significant milestone in the Sri Lankan archival sector, because we will see that the digitization of these archives will make them more accessible to both our countries. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank everyone who has worked so tirelessly on this for over several years. And I thank you, Dr. Nadeera, with your excellent Dutch speaking and all your experience in the Netherlands, are really the person to bring this forward. And also, Minister Wickramanayake, I think without you, it would not have been possible that we were standing here today. So I think it is really very valuable that you have been able to do this. And our embassies, in fact, are working closely together also. And I think this is really an amazing example of our concrete cultural cooperation, for which I wish there will be more to come in the coming years. But actually, I know that this will be the case, and it makes me extremely happy. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I believe there will be a wonderful cooperation in future as well. So once again, thank you very much. With that, we would like to invite the Head of Digitization Department, National Archives of the Netherlands, Mr. Arjan Agema.
Dear Excellencies, dear Dr. Nadeera, esteemed guests, I'm honored to be here and to confirm the cooperation between Sri Lanka National Archives and the National Archives of the Netherlands. I stand in a long line of contacts, meetings and projects since at least the year 2001. We started collaboration on the preservation of this VOC collection in Colombo, the so-called Dutch records. We worked together in projects referred to as Towards a New Age of Partnership, so-called TANAP, the Netherlands Assistance Program and the Shared Cultural Heritage Program. In terms of conservation, the aims achieved were improving the restoration facility, the atelier here in the National Archives of Sri Lanka, the installation of leaf casting machines, supplying tools and materials for storage and restoration of archives, cleaning, rewrapping, reboxing of Dutch records, and restoration of these records. Under digitization, the microfilming of the Dutch records here in Colombo both under the TANAP and under the Shared Cultural Heritage Program, digitization of the microfilms of the Dutch records by NAM, and the indexes and the online publication of these finding aids on the TANAP website took place. In terms of capacity building here at the National Archives, workshops on conservation and restoration of archives were held, as well as training in microfilming, workshops in collection management, and courses in the Old Dutch language and paleography. The inventorization of 42 boxes, which is about 4 linear meters of miscellaneous documents, the loose papers, and the composition of the index of the tombos of land registers were also achieved. This cooperation was very much stimulated also by the former Director General of the National Archives of Sri Lanka, Dr. Saroja Wickramanayake. We are still grateful for all her efforts and contributions. After her retirement in August 2017, when Dr. Nadeera Rupesinghe was appointed as Director General, some hiccups at the government level occurred, because of which the execution of the projects temporarily stopped. Nevertheless, NAM and the National Archives of Sri Lanka stayed in contact in that period and discussed possibilities to start working together again as soon as it was seen possible. Within that period, in November 2019, 2 colleagues of the National Archives of Sri Lanka, Mrs. Dipani and Mrs. Lasika, were allowed to participate in NAN's winter school in The Hague, called Managing Archives, Challenges and Changes for the 21st Century Archivist. This hopeful meeting was with the representatives of the National Archives of Sri Lanka, was also followed by the handing over of a hard disk with digitized microfilms to Dr. Nadeera. And this happened in May 2023. And now I stand here as representative of the General Director of NAM and the National Archivist of the Netherlands, Avalon Doek, after signing the Memorandum of Understanding and 2 concrete and practical working plans to seal our further cooperation in the field of conservation and restoration, digitization, online publication of finding aids and scans, and a capacity building in archival management, restoration, digitization, and Dutch language. I would like to thank the Minister, Mr. Wickramanayake. I'm sorry, it's, you probably have the same with my name. For his permission to sign this memorandum and for his efforts to make this happy occasion possible. I thank the Dutch Embassy and also Mrs. Dewi van der Weerd to help us and insisting us and always being positive of the possibilities and stimulator of the cooperation between our 2 institutions. I thank the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Netherlands for making the signing possible in the context of the important occasion of returning the colonial objects to Sri Lanka. And of course, I thank Mrs. Nadeera for never losing faith in the possibilities of cooperation with NAM, for the enduring effort to get the Memorandum of Understanding and the working plans accepted in Sri Lanka, and for the way she has presented herself as a true and faithful archivist and a lovely colleague. Thank you very much, and please also pass these thanks to all your colleagues here at the National Archives of Sri Lanka. Thank you.
Mr. Arjan Arihama, thank you very much, and we really appreciate that. And once again, a very big thank you to you. And while actually being seated there, I was trying to think about the Netherlands and Sri Lanka, and I was thinking I would like to write a very tiny poem to share my thoughts with Sri Lanka and the Netherlands. And this is from me to you. Bridging seas with memories grand, hand in hand, 2 nations stands, From ancient archives to digitization it, Netherlands and Sri Lanka, through time, let's conquer the world to make a huge impact. Thank you.